Good afternoon. My name is Chris Hartley, and I'm a visiting assistant professor at the Graduate School of Public Policy at Nazarbayev University. And I previously held the position of lecturer in the Department of City and Regional Planning at Cornell University in the United States. I hold a PhD in public policy from the National University of Singapore Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy. And the focus of my research and attention has been public policy in Asian cities with regard to technology and environmental management.
Okay, now we prepare a program to thematic of first president. Can you tell me about your first president of Washington?
Right, so George Washington in the United States holds what many consider to be mythical status. He certainly was a hero in the sense of being a very successful war general, and he helped to lead the U.S., the armed forces at that time, to achieve independence from Britain. So this established in the minds of Americans a very significant status as a founding father of the country. Even more than that, it's not just his role and his success in helping America achieve its independence, but it's also the values and the standards by which he accomplished these things. As the myth goes, and as reality goes, he did not appear to be a man who sought any great power. He was able to lead the military forces to victory against Britain, and he subsequently stepped down from his command at a time in which he could actually have seized a significant amount of power. He participated in the drafting of the Constitution and was the first president of the United States. He served for 2 terms and thereafter he stepped down. So what George Washington represents is not only a successful visionary who was instrumental in establishing the independence of the country, but also somebody who understood the value of public service in the sense that he served when the country needed him, and then he stepped down without seeking power for his own self-interest. And these values, among others, that he appears to be very well known for in the United States even today.
Do you have a special day of First President's Day? How do you celebrate this day?
Yes, it's a very interesting issue in the United States. So in February we have what's called President's Day. Actually, President's Day is how the day is normally known among most people, but officially it's called Washington's birthday. So this is a celebration initially of George Washington, but over time actually it was suggested that the celebration should include not only Washington but also Abraham Lincoln as well, because Washington and Lincoln are largely regarded as the 2 greatest U.S. presidents in history. So in some places the President's Day is also a time to honor the legacy of Abraham Lincoln as well. And also what's interesting is that over time it has become a holiday that some people believe would celebrate all presidents, and it has been suggested that it's a day to commemorate the achievements of presidents in general. Of course, lately the political situation in America is quite divided. So in that situation then it is more a pattern of Americans to venerate historic figures than it is to elevate the status of currently or more recently serving presidential figures. So actually that's basically the story is President's Day is really Washington's birthday, and it's a time to reflect on some of those values that people believe are associated with George Washington and the founding of the country.
And what's the role of first president for the country, so all the country in politics?
Right, so the role of the first president in a country, as with I suppose any organization or any collective body, is very significant. So first and foremost to shape a vision for what that entity will be and what that country will be. So as I said before, George Washington exhibited certain personal characteristics that actually became part of the national American mythology, characteristics such as independence and strength and bravery, but also humility and also service to one's country. So this story has been told repeatedly about George Washington as a way to rally Americans around these very basic concepts of what it means to be American. So in that sense, George Washington served as a very important role early on in the country to not only promote these values, but to live them unto himself. And so this is the first thing that's quite important about his role and about the role of any founding member of an organization or of a country. I think the second would be to indicate that there is a degree of collaboration in the founding of the country. So to exhibit a sense of cooperation, of collectivism. And I think this is something that has been increasingly emphasized in the American experience, there is a fundamental resistance to power concentrated into one single person. That the president is venerated for being powerful and successful, but is also part of a larger system of collaborative checks and balances that generally illustrate the will of the people rather than the will of one single person. And I think finally it's important that the founder of an organization or a country would instill a culture in that organization of adherence to laws or procedures that go beyond the individual. It was John Adams in 1790 in his leadership in Massachusetts who actually is credited for saying that the government should be of laws but not of men. And by this, John Adams meant that no single person, even in a powerful position of leadership, is above the laws or the institutions of the country. And this is one thing that George Washington exhibited when he stepped down from power twice. Once after he led the forces, the revolutionary forces, to victory, and a second time after he served 2 terms as president. So in my view, I think the founder of a country is charged with the responsibility of establishing the conditions in that country that would promote good governance even after that person has left office. So in that sense, the country's fate and the country's security and the country's success is not linked with the personality or capability of one single person, but is actually enshrined in the laws and institutions of that country and can perpetuate even after that first and singular powerful person actually steps down. And this is one of the very cherished values in the United States, is the power of institutions and the rule of law to make sure that not one single person can grab an inordinate amount of power and exert that power for his or her own good or for the good of their inner circle. So I think those are 3 things of the many that are important in a founding father of a country.